is my year. Our year. Can you feel it? More motivation. 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 Synergy. 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 Adventure. 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 Responsibility. 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 Intimacy. 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 Achievement. 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 Advancement. 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 Determination. 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 Focus. Focus. This is my year.
Honey, so? What do you think?
Yeah.
Motivation, integrity, determination, synergy. Come on, honey. You're not even listening to me. I mean, I have a poster and everything this time. This is perfect. I mean business. Jack?
This is my year. I promise.
So I wonder how many of you at your Christmas lunches or dinners or however you celebrated Christmas sat around the table and was like, what are you thankful for this year? Anyone do that? Anyone do that? We did it. How many of us have started the year off, ended the year off saying, I have got New Year's resolutions that I'm looking forward to kicking off? Anyone started their New Year's resolutions? Anyone? I've done them. There we go. There's some New Year's resolutions there at the back. If you're watching online, I want you to type in a New Year's resolution that you might be looking forward to. But I want to ask you, what are you most expectant for to happen in your life in 2022? I want someone to put up their hand. Anyone who's got something that they're really expectant for, they're really trusting God for, they're really excited for 2022. Anyone? Yes, Maggie? Shout. What are you expected for? Great. You expecting for new work? Anyone else there wants to share what they're expecting for this year? I know I'm putting you on the spot. Before I share. Anyone? Yes? New business, new opportunities. Great. Anyone else? So I did something before I came here this evening. I went and asked our team. What do you think our team had to say about what they're expecting for 2022? Let me share a little bit. I'm not going to tell you who the people were, but I'm going to keep them. One was new opportunities and nuwe geleenthede en moontlikhede. Someone else said nuwe journey wat ons gaan stap. Iemand anders het gesê nuwe revelations en strategie in 2022 en verder te bou op wat 2021 geleer en ontdek was. Dan het iemand gesê dan is daar vers wat deurgekom is. Mag God julle harte so verlig dat julle sal insien watter wonderlike vooruitsig sy roeping inhou. Now, there's some amazing things that if we don't come in this place and we start asking, what am I expecting for? We're not moving into the new year and saying, God, I'm trusting you to do the impossible. I want to ask you this question. How many of us here this evening are trusting God to do the impossible? We're finding ourselves at a place where 2021 ended the year off, and can I tell you, tonight there's no curfew. I never expected that. So all of a sudden, everyone's excited, everyone's great, they can go to New Year's parties tonight, so they can keep their doors open, they can invite family over. Can I tell you what was more disappointing? Is I drove past a liquor store, and there was a queue. And it wasn't just a little queue, it was a queue. And I'm so surprised, because everyone's like, what am I going to do with all this time? I'm so used to going to bed at 11 o'clock, because I know that I can't do anything else. Or it's like, listen, 11 o'clock, you've got to get out of my house. You know? But I have a question for you when it comes to what are you expecting for God to do in 2022. Now, there's two individuals. Number one, you got the dreamers. These are the people that say, I'm looking forward to this happening. I'm so looking forward to getting more to the sea. I'm looking so forward to more opportunities to come my way. And then you got the other individuals, the realists. You know what, I didn't work hard enough in 2021. I've got to work harder in 2022 to make my dreams in 2021 become a reality in 2022. And I need my dreaming partner who's with me. I need them to think a little bit more outside of the box and stop thinking in the clouds. You see, the reality is, the dreamers and the realists marry each other. Now, I say this with a lot of respect. My wife, she's a big dreamer. I'm a big realist. So when it comes to things that we need to do, My wife always thinks outside the box, and I think of how we're practically going to get it done. And sometimes I think of these dreams, and I'm like, how are we going to get there without letting it fail like it did in 2021? You know? Those conversations open up, and we all think to ourselves, how are we going to make it more of a journey that we reach our goals and we do the things that we said we wanted to do? I want to take us to a place where I start asking you this question. What are the possibilities that you're looking forward to? Now, the first statement that I want to make tonight is possibilities fuel the potential for a better future. What potential and opportunity and possibilities have you seen already in 2021 with that you can take over into 2022 with you? What are you looking for to better your future? What possibilities do you see that you can take hold of and say, God, thank you for these opportunities. Thank you for this, that I can go into the season. New business opportunities, new work. We've heard a couple of them today. But what are we trusting God for these possibilities? Are we doing it in our own strength? Or are we doing it in what He's telling us and commanding us to do? You see, I want to ask you, we all have these videos that we show up online. We've got these voiceovers that we do on our videos. Some sound better than others, and when you hear my voice, I'm always like, oh, I'm really not made for radio. So I thought a little bit. Who is the number one voiceover actor that everyone phones? Take a look at the screen. His name is Morgan Freeman. I can't even... there we're going into the distance. I just don't sound like him, okay? But the reality is Morgan Freeman is the most sought after voiceover specialist because his voice just brings it. Imagine we asked you to come to a men's evening and Morgan Freeman's voice came over the video saying, listen, you don't want to miss this evening. There's going to be fire. And he was doing like this Afrikaans accent with an English accent on the side. It would have been so legit. But can I tell you something? This individual, I would listen to him more often than not because he's played God in 2 movies. You ever remember that? But you know what, Morgan Freeman, he's a bit expensive. Everyone agree? You know, we wouldn't do it. So I found a video, and when I saw this video, my mind was blown. I'm like, if I can get this guy, I'm pretty sure he's not going to cost me an arm and a leg. He's kind of like a nobody on the side. He literally has to swallow cold air, and he sounds exactly like Morgan Freeman. You don't believe me? I'm going to invite you to have a look at the screens, and I'm going to show you a video of But Shawick. Have a look at what he does, and he's going to do a quick intro for us and what his speciality is. So have a look at the screens.
My name is Boot Shawink, and for some reason, when I inhale cold air, my voice comes out exactly as Morgan Freeman's, which I'm going to demonstrate now with the monologue of Shawshank Redemption. Rehabilitated? Well, now, let me see. You know, I don't really have any idea what that means. To me, it's just a made-up word, a politician's word, so that young fellas like yourself can wear a shirt and tie and have a job.
You see, how beautiful is that? Here's an individual who saw a possibility that he had, an opportunity, something that he could take a video of and challenge people and show him, I'm pretty sure I can make you think I'm Morgan Freeman. Imagine him at a party where he says, I bet you couldn't believe that I could sound like Morgan Freeman. And he stands at these parties, and he stands to these individuals, and he stands in a crowd, and he's behind a curtain, and he starts talking. Everyone's like, Morgan Freeman, yes! And then he comes out, and everyone's like, where's Morgan? I want to take you to a place where we start thinking a little bit about 2022, about the possibilities that are available for you and I. We can laugh and we can look at individuals and great, we can get other individuals to make things possible. But I want to take you to 2 individuals that pretty much impacted our lives for the way that we travel. And if you don't know who I'm talking about the Wright Brothers. The Wright Brothers sat one day where they were building bicycles and they had a hobby on the side where they looked after pigeons. And one day they were sitting back and they're like, I wonder if we can get mankind to fly around like those birds. 2 individuals that were not experienced. They didn't have a degree. They didn't have the technical training that was needed. They did not have the opportunities that an individual will have to a normal individual that was studying, worked in that working environment. But here they're sitting back and they see a possibility. And they started dreaming about it. I'm pretty sure that one of them was the dreamer and one of them was the realist. One was saying, how do we fly? And the other one was saying, I don't know how we fly, but I know we can fly. And I believe that they sat back in this moment saying, imagine if we could challenge the laws of gravity, where we were not challenged to just climb on a boat and travel everywhere else, but that we could go into air. And we know the story of the Wright Brothers, that they were the individuals who designed the first airplane. They were the first individuals to get us off the ground. And now it has developed in such a business where we don't have to think about it. It's a 2-hour trip from here to Joburg. Man, I wish I did that this holiday. I decided to drive up. And then I decided to drive back in one day. Hey. But the Wright brothers made it possible for us to think differently, because they saw possibilities. They saw themselves in a place where they could find and develop a better future. The question that I have for you today is, what possibilities are you seeing? Are you looking at your possibilities like the Wright brothers did? Or are you looking at your possibilities as goals that can never be attained? Are you scared to make New Year's resolutions? Are you scared to challenge the norm? Are you worried that you're not going to achieve your goals? I want to speak to all the business individuals for now. I want to tell you that next week is the first full business week of 2022. Believe it or not, it's the first full business week. No public holidays, no breaks in between, 5 days a week, here we go. And I want to make a statement today. When it comes to possibilities, in your place of business, you need to own the space in the land of possibility and rent or lease a space in the land of reality. What does that mean? That's saying I need to own the possibilities that can happen. I need to start believing that I can make the impossible possible and start renting the space of what is a reality right now, that is temporary. I start trusting God for the impossible to become possible. I start trusting God to start making His plans a reality in my life. I stop looking at my current circumstances and allowing it to define who I am, what's going to happen, and where I'm going. That I start looking at my possibilities like the Wright brothers did and saying, God, I want to fly. I want to achieve the impossible. I want to make a better future, not just for myself, not just for my family, but for those around me. I want to use the gifts and talents that you have given me, because I want to achieve in 2022 what I never thought was possible. I want to achieve in this new year to look back 365 days at the next Old Year's Eve service and say, God, look at what you achieved in my life. But it comes with a price. It means that I have to submit myself unto God's authority. I need to submit myself to His plan and His will for my life. You see, the thing is, I need to start asking myself this question, a very important question, a question that is probably going to define us. And what do you think is possible for you in the new year? What do you think is possible in this coming year? What are the big dreams that you're trusting for that you're too scared to verbalize? You're too scared to tell God about them. You're too scared to tell your family. You're too scared to even admit it to yourself. What is possible for you in the new year? You see, the thing is, there's a second, more important question. This question is going to define the laws of gravity. Not because of the question, but because of the person that is in the question. This question is going to define how 2022 is going to look like for you and for me. You see, I want us to ask a second question tonight and ask the question, what does God think is possible for you in the new year? What do you believe God is saying over your life that is possible for you? How many things have you been able to achieve this year that you never thought was possible? How many things were you too afraid of to take that step, but when you did, you were so grateful for it? How grateful were you for it when people pushed you out of your boundaries, out of your comfort zone, because they saw the potential inside of you? Can I tell you, God sees the potential inside of you and He wants you to take those opportunities. I don't know about you, but when I start thinking about it like that, it starts exciting me. It starts stirring something within my spirit. But let's get down to what tonight is all about. You start looking at the possibilities of 2022 and you think, I don't know if I'm going to get that new business opportunity. I don't know if it's possible. I don't know if that's what God's plan is for my life. I want to say to you tonight might be the first time that you need to turn around and say, God, what is it that your possibilities are for me? What are you challenging me for? What are you telling me that I need to achieve? And I want you so long to turn to the Bible in Galatians 5:22-23 and prepare yourself for this. Because before we go there, I want to tell you what God's possibilities for your life is. It's not the verse, Tanya. I'm going to ask you just to put those words up. Here is what God's possibilities are for you. It's love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Can I tell you? Maybe you're trusting God for possibilities in your finances. Can I tell you what the possibility is that? Maybe God wants to challenge you on being more self-controlled with your finances. Maybe He's asking you to be a little bit more faithful in your finances. Maybe it's you're trusting God for the possibilities of losing weight or becoming more active. Again, self-control. It's possible. What about you're trusting God to overcome anxiety and depression? Maybe there's a place where God needs to just shower you in His goodness. It is possible. Maybe there's a time where we need to hand over and just say, God, I want to see your kindness in my life. So let's go to Galatians 5. Because can I tell you something? Every single New Year's resolution that you have right now is possible by every single one of these things that God says is possible. Galatians 5:22-23 says, the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. But here's what it says. Against such things there is no law. God is calling us to go into a season where we start trusting Him for these possibilities in our lives. God is calling us to a season where we start trusting Him that there is breakthrough. I'm going to ask the band, you guys can wait. Wait just for a moment. Wait just for a moment. Because can I tell you something? There is going to be opportunities for you to live out these gifts in your life, and there is no greater law than this. Every single one of us here in this auditorium, including myself, can this year achieve this possibility. Who's trusting God for more joy in their life? Who's trusting God for the possibility of more love in their life? Who is trusting God for more self-control in their life? Can I tell you, every single one of these gifts is possible. You see, we need to look at this list and ask ourselves, which one? If we look at this list, it seems unamountable. It seems unattainable. We look at this list and we wonder to ourselves, how am I ever going to achieve this? But God makes it possible because He is every single one of those things. And He wants to call us into a deeper relationship with Him. We just sang about it now. You are calling me deeper. And what was the first one that we sang about? You're calling me deeper into love. Maybe it is a time that we stop looking at our circumstances and our world and our realities and start saying, God, how can you make these fruits of your Spirit a reality in my life and my circumstances and how I go out? You see, how are we going to achieve this? We have to ask a couple of questions for ourselves. We need someone to hold us accountable. If you want to know which one of these lists you need to hold and do this coming year, maybe you need to ask your spouse. I'm telling you now, if I had to ask my wife, she'd probably give me a couple of them. Maybe you need to ask a friend. Maybe you need to ask your small group. And if you're not involved in a small group, I want to tell you, We're kicking our small groups off in a couple of weeks. If you're not connected in that, get connected. And finally, and this is probably the most important person you need to ask God. This message tonight is not just something that I'm bringing out today. This is something that I've been living for a couple of weeks. Because I've been asking God, what has 2022 got in store for me? What has 2022 got in store for me and Him? And the only thing that He told me to focus on is faithfulness. Those who know me, I just want to go. I want to go. I want to go. But God's been challenging me to be faithful in whatever He's given me now and to do it with the best of my ability. Not to compare myself to others, not to wonder, when am I going to achieve that? When am I going to be able to do that? But to be faithful in what He has given me. And that is what I'm committing myself to. Maybe there's a couple on those lists that you say, you know what, I want to focus on that. I want to challenge you today. Maybe it's time that you start doing one a quarter. Saying, God, at the end of 2022, I want to achieve 4 of these possibilities in my life. Because this is the reality, and this has been the title of the entire message. This is my year. I promise. And this promise is not that you have to make it to anyone else but yourself and God. Because I believe that by the end of 2022, we're going to see people who are more compassionate, more loving, more joy in their life. They have more kindness in the way that they treat one another. That goodness will overflow out of their lives. We're going to start seeing individuals that have more control over their habits, more control over their lives. More individuals that are seeing their opportunities like the Wright Brothers did. And they start soaring to new heights. Because again, I want to tell you, I found myself here. I turned 33 in a couple of days. If I times that by 2, in theory, I'm halfway to retirement. Scary thought. But if you had to look at yours, and you had to double your age, where are you? What are the possibilities that God has in store for you from now until then? What are the possibilities that God wants to use you for? What are the possibilities that God wants you to instill in people's lives around you? You see, when it comes down to thinking it like that, God's greatest plan for you is Jesus, period. We've been going through an entire series this December of speaking about the greatest gift that was ever given to us. We spoke about how amazing it was that God sent His Son Jesus to be born just to die on a cross for every single one of us. Why? Because He made the possibilities a reality in our lives. He will always be God's plan, period. There is nothing greater. There is nothing that can succumb that. There is nothing that I need to focus on more than that reality. That is the possibility. And maybe there's some of you seated here and you don't have a relationship with Him. Can I tell you? That's okay. But if you wake up tomorrow morning and you say, I cannot achieve that, you're right. If you wake up tomorrow morning and you say, I can achieve that, you're right. The reality is the way that you look at your possibilities, they will become a reality. And if I'm not going to speak life into my reality, I'm always going to see it as another opportunity I let by. I can stand up tomorrow morning and I can say, I want to take today's opportunities with both hands and I want to achieve the best of every opportunity because I, Garth, want to be faithful in that opportunity. So how are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? We need to stop striving and start receiving. Because God doesn't want us to strive for our own things, but He wants us to receive what He wants to give us in our lives. He wants us to stop focusing on what the world is telling us that we have to achieve and start relying on what He wants to give us. You have been given every single tool that you need for 2022, and it will be the greatest success story. In 365 days, I'm trusting with you that the testimonies that are going to come out of what God has done in your life are going to be greater and far beyond what you have ever imagined possible. You want to know why? It's because I have to ask this question again. What does God think is possible for you in this new year? And when I start thinking about that question, it brings me back to that verse that we just read in Galatians. I can achieve every single possibility because He is love. He is joy. He gives us peace. He shows us patience. He gives us so much kindness. His goodness overflows in everything that He does. He is so faithful. He's a gentle Father. And He teaches us self-control. And again it says this, against such things there is no law. Tonight I wonder where you find yourself at. Maybe you're too afraid to think of what the possibilities are for 2022. Maybe you are at a place where you're stuck. You've been trusting God for something for so long and nothing has become a reality. You find yourself in a place where you're kind of disheartened. You find yourself in a place where you've been praying for something, you've been waiting for that breakthrough, and it just hasn't come. Maybe we need to come to a place where we start believing that this is my year. Maybe this is your year where that business opportunity opens up. Maybe this is your opportunity where that new work becomes a reality. Maybe this is the year that God has been trusting you to be faithful. And all of a sudden that door goes open. We've heard a testimony of someone being trusting God for new work, and before the end of the year, He opened the door. Faithfulness. What about the stirring in a relationship where the two individuals just don't love each other anymore? But God comes in and He takes grip of those two individuals and He gives them a godly love like no other, and He restores a relationship. He restores a family. Maybe it's to teach us a little bit of patience. We can keep using the excuse that COVID has forced us to work a little bit harder, not to wait for anything. Everything needs to happen now. But maybe God is telling us to just slow down for a moment. Be a little bit patient. Because God doesn't work in our time, He works in His. Tonight we're going to be ending off 2021. And we can either end it off saying, God has won the victory in this year. God has won the victory in my life. God won the victory when He sent His Son. He did it for you and for me to understand that there will always be possibilities. He will always make the impossible possible. I'm going to ask for auditorium lights to be just switched off for a moment. Where you find yourself tonight, whatever you are trusting God for in this list, I want you to search your heart a little bit, because He is so great. He is so loving. He is so faithful. If you're trusting God for those possibilities of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control in your life, don't you want to raise your hand tonight? Because I want to pray for you. If you're watching online, I want you to say, I'm trusting. I'm trusting. So there's those individuals here. I just want you to raise your hand for a moment. No one looking around. It's amazing to see how we trust in God. You can put your hands down, Salam. Maybe there's individuals here that's just unsure. You're not sure if God is going to make it a reality. You feel like you've been disappointed so often. Nothing has become a reality. You don't know. You've lost all hope. I want to trust with you tonight for hope to be restored. I want to trust with you tonight that breakthroughs are going to come. If you are in that place where all hope just seems gone, don't you want to lift your hand tonight? want to pray with you. I want to pray for you with those breakthroughs. Can I see that hand? I see that. Now, every single one of us that raised our hands, I'm going to ask you to take a bold step this evening. I'm going to ask you to stand. Stand where you're at. Just stand where you're at. And every one of us around us, I want you just to stretch your hands out to these individuals. Just stretch your hands out as we pray for them. And everyone online, I'm praying with you as well. Whatever you're trusting God for.